This is a video about how to practice pentatonic scales to make it more fun so you don't just feel that you're going up and down scales to a metronome starting at point A up to point B and back, because we all know that that can be quite frustrating, and obviously for a lot of us scales aren't the most interesting thing to practice. For that reason, what I'm going to give you now is a few little tips on kind of how I would go about practicing pentatonic scales in order to improve the enjoyment of actually practicing these scales, in order to be able to use them to start improvising and creating your own solos. So this might seem quite obvious really, but for 5 years now I've been learning how to speak Italian, and the phrases and the words that I know most, well, not fluently, but that I can use most confidently are the phrases and words that I've practiced the most. Hence the reason I say it's quite obvious to say. And that's the same with the scales. What I would suggest is, rather than going from point A to point B and back, so for example if you're on A minor pentatonic, as great as that is, it's unlikely that when you're soloing you'll find yourself just going from A to A and back. You need to practice the scale across the range of the instrument. So rather than practicing your scales from point A being the root of the scale, so if you're in A minor pentatonic that would be the A, and going through to the next time that that happens, and then back and forth between those two, what I would suggest you do is look at all of the notes in the scale and play them right across the range of the instrument. So for example, in A minor pentatonic, you could actually get down to a low C. So you could start from the C and go right the way through the scale to the highest point that you can within that scale. Rather than just going from root to root, play the scale across the range of the instrument, because that's probably what you're going to do when you start to form solos. Now what we need to do with that scale is take a full semiquaver grouping, so 1 E and A, 4 semiquavers together. If you don't know what semiquavers are and you don't know how to use them, there are kind of phonetic words that help to kind of get the rhythm into your head. So if you've got the beat going like this, you can say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, 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 because it achieves the same rhythmic pattern. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a Coca-Cola, 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 Coca-Cola. Then what we're going to do is, with the scale that we played right across the range, is start on a note and go up 4 notes from that point. Then we're going to go back, but rather than back to the same starting point, we're going to go up by 1 tone. So for example, your starting point each time is going to be the next step in the pentatonic scale. You go up 4 notes and jump back down to the next step in the pentatonic scale. So set the metronome at a point where you feel comfortable, where you can get 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, or where you can get 4 Coca-Colas in and you feel that you can play it. Maybe start on A to begin with, just to get comfortable with the actual pattern and how the rhythm sounds, and then you can drop down to the lowest C and play it across the range of the instrument. So once you've practiced that and you feel that you've got it to a stage where you're quite comfortable with kind of getting round the scale and across the range of the instrument, what I would suggest you do is put on a backing track and start to apply that exercise to a backing track, so you've got something funky behind you, some drums, bass, a bit of a groove, and also kind of mix up the pattern so you leave gaps rather than just playing the pattern over and over. Rather than kind of just going round and round, you could kind of mix up the inflections that you put on it, the kind of little nuances that you want to put in, bends and things, and leave gaps. Hopefully practicing your scales in this way will help to improve the enjoyment and ultimately improve the speed at which you take on the information and the fluency and dexterity that will come with time and practice.